There is a leadership seed in every child of God. In fact, in every man. We inherited that from Adam. It was corrupted, but it has been recovered. So we don't have no excuse. That's why there is no generation without stars. There is no generation without stars. May you end up being listed among the stars in your generation. But we have to cultivate that seed, nurture it, so that it can begin to produce fruit. This is why how much we are investing today in terms of time, energy, and resources in the pursuit of God will determine where we will find ourselves tomorrow. Let's look at some 5 biblical steps to realizing our full leadership potentials. Let me start with a very familiar story to quite a number of us here. There's a young chap called James Owen. He was a high school boy, and then asked his coach, his sports coach, "Hello, sir, I want to become a sports star." He said, "Are you sure you want to become a star?" He said, "There are 4 steps on the ladder to get in there." I'm sure his ears will have stood up. What are they? Determination, discipline, dedication, and sacrifice. He said, "Please come again, sir." Determination, discipline, dedication, and sacrifice. What's the last one? Sacrifice. Is this 4? I'm getting there. So the small boy took hold of that and began to run with it. Simple instruction. It doesn't take a volume of things for the best in you to come out. It only calls for your readiness to engage with what has made others, if you want to be made after their kind. Well, cut the long story short, by 1923 Berlin Olympics, James Owen emerged a 3 gold medalist in that event. 3 gold medalists. 1 gold medalist in Olympic is a feat. Then to now have 3 on a row in 1 Olympic is something to talk about. Now, his long jump record took 22 years to be broken. They call it broad jump in those days. He dated back his exploit to those simple instructions. To those simple instructions. Somebody is going to date back his exploits in life to this introductory lecture of the master's class. He picked it up and ran with it and have things to show at the end. I've also shared the story of 2 high school boys that went to school in the same environment, and then after school each one went his way. One went about just jobbing from one food business to another, fast food, slow food, and just doing that. Amen. So they met 19 years after. The biographer said they were continents apart. How much? Continents apart. As you cross the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, before you can find the second, when you find one here. Now, what has he done? He has invested in about 600 books. By the time they met, it was worth $200,000 an hour. You want him for an hour in your company? $200,000. The other one was what? $7.50 an hour. And the continents apart. They are galaxies apart. They are galaxies apart. By virtue of each one's level of investment in creating the future that they desire. The other young man likes food. And so working the food, something you won't lack food because the food you serve, you must eat. And when you run a restaurant, you can't stop from eating. There are people here in this guest house and they eat every day, whether they have guests or not. I can't even tell whether some of them bring their family members to eat. As long as you are working in the kitchen, eating is free. Apart from when you are eating in terms of tasting the food, the one you now serve yourself after people have eaten. Amen. His goal is to eat. So he found a place where he can always eat. He just began to change from one place to another to see whether this food is tastier than the other one. The other young man was invested. Now, watch. That's like becoming a Nobel laureate from the corner of your room. Hello? That's also a pointer to how much loaded the human person is. If he will explore the treasures hid in himself. There are 5 steps on the ladder from scriptures on the way up. First, have a vision for your life. You never become a go-getter without established goalposts. Have a vision for your life. We have this from 2 scriptures only, Ecclesiastes 10, 5-18. And then Luke 12, 49 and 50. Number 2, learn how to pursue the vision of your life. Oh, I want to become a medical doctor. That's a small boy here saying that in primary 4. Then you better tell him to ever become a medical practitioner. You will need 2 more years where you are now. 6 years in secondary school, 4 years for pre-med, and then 2 years or 3 years for your surgical classes. You now begin as a house officer. Shogo, that is learning to accomplish your dream is a greater task than knowing your dream.